Thank you very much for attending my PowerPoint presentation about Magnus, a hero for show-offs. Magnus is a melee universal whatever hero, by which I mean that he is one of only 3 heroes that I consider capable of playing every single position in the game to a competent degree. Right now, he's probably best off as a position 4 or as an offlaner, but in previous updates he has been a top tier carry, a highly contested mid, and across pretty much any patch, he can work as a rogue 5 as long as he has a melee safe laner to cast Empower on. In terms of his iconic traits, he really just has 3 of them. The first is Empower, which is one of the single best right-click buffs in the entire game, granting a massive damage boost and cleave to melee heroes. The second is the ability to belligerently kidnap enemy players and drag them unwillingly into the gaping maw of your entire team. The third is Reverse Polarity, which is one of the single best teamfight setup ultimates in the entire game and is an absolute blast to land. All of these traits combine to make Magnus an extremely fun hero who has undergone very few design changes in his history in Dota 2, because damn it, they struck gold and they're not putting it back in the mine. That also makes talking about Magnus very difficult, because there's a lot of different Magnuses that you can play in the game. Still, we're going to do our best. First, let's talk about his trait that I absolutely despise. Magnus is a serial kidnapper. Using a combination of items that can be as little as Blink or up to Aghanims and Harpoon as well, he can kidnap enemy heroes and drag them to your team. This is all thanks to Skewer, his ability that allows him to push enemy heroes in a straight line for a shockingly large distance. The basic combo goes that you blink in, use your Q or Harpoon to get the enemy hero close, and then skewer them back into your team that is waiting to tear them into bits. Considering that every single hero in the entire game relies on being positioned properly in order to survive, Magnus throws a massive wrench into that plan. And, in just one fell swoop, he can grab a well-farmed range carry, drag them off the high ground, and win the game on the spot. Keep in mind that none of this involves an ultimate. All of this can be done on a roughly 15-second cooldown, and it's even lower depending on the abilities and talents he gets. Still, Magnus does have a little bit of a risk whenever he does this. When he haphazardly blinks into the enemy base, he is opening himself up to precasted hexes, fuels, and all sorts of other things. A BKB can sometimes be mandatory to get this off, but as long as you're popping in from outside of vision, you're probably going to yoink someone, and they're probably going to die. Bonus points if the entire team tries to chase them down to somehow save them, and you can RP the rest of them too. This is also probably the most difficult part of Magnus's kit to master. Not that it's necessarily difficult to click Harpoon on someone and then E behind you, but because missing it is really embarrassing. You will get tipped, and there's always a chance that you die in the process, so try to get this combo figured out in demo mode before you start using it in real matches. This also makes Magnus a very obvious counter to ranged agility carries. The Drows and Snipers of the world can be humbled very quickly by pressing just a couple of buttons, and that always feels very satisfying. While skewer kidnapping is the hero's bread and butter, it's not the only thing that he can do to ruin the enemy team's day. He also has Reverse Polarity, one of the single strongest teamfight ultimates in all of Dota 2. Reverse Polarity creates a giant vacuum around Magnus, notably not in front of him, that sucks in all enemy units right in front of him, all in one neat little package. He can then use Horn Toss, his Q, just moving behind them in order to skewer the entire enemy team back into your teamfight ultimates. Combine this with any sort of payoff like Enigma's Black Hole, Warlock ultimate and spells, a Sven just blinking in and tearing everyone to shreds, and you have a recipe for a rampage. Now you may be worried that your melee carry won't have the farm necessary to secure all 5 kills. Don't worry about that. You have Empower. Cast it on them and they are going to get a massive damage bonus along with a shit ton of cleave. The hero is a walking, talking teamfight, and if you cast Empower enough on your melee teammates, they will commend you and you can use them to farm good boy points. Now it's basically impossible to teach you how to play Magnus over the course of just this one PowerPoint, but I will tell you this. No matter what position or goal you have in mind, the very center of that triple Venn diagram has Blink Dagger in the middle. You will need this item. There are some situations where you can go 4-staff first. Hell, maybe you even want an urn in this patch, because that item is messed up. But you are going to buy a Blink Dagger. You absolutely need it for the hero. Outside of Blink Dagger, the items that you buy are very much so dependent on what the hell you want to do. If you want to take your opponents into the deep waters and let them discover themselves, pick up an Echo Saber to help you farm with Empower, and then just stack as much damage as you can. Armor reduction, especially armor reduction that applies to multiple players, is extremely valuable, so pick up an AC that also gives attack speed, and then Daedalus just for good measure. You'll hit like a truck, and you can get the damn rampage yourself. Instead, if you want to win 5 Super Bowls as the ultimate support, you can pick up a variety of support items and just rely on your abilities to carry the day. Blink in, get an RP on at least 2 heroes, and drag them back to your team. Boom, you've now done more than any other support could do in that situation. Magnus, being a universal hero, also benefits from getting a very wide variety of items, so just identify what your team needs and pick it up. As long as you have a Blink Dagger, your job as a Magnus can be done. Now, if you want to play the most fun version of Magnus in my opinion, go for the wizard build. You're going to have the farm level of a core, but you're going to spend it all on making your spells do as much as possible. Grab an Aether Lens to boost your cast range and allow you to initiate from even further. The cast range affects skewer, by the way, so you can grab and push enemies from even further away than you could before. Then grab items that let you ulti more often. Octarine Core is an obvious choice since it lets you do your Yoink combo even more frequently, and then if you weren't able to secure the Rampage with an RP before, a refresher will give you a second bite at the apple. Go these items, hit R, skewer the entire enemy team back, and win the damn game. As for the individual playstyles of all of these different versions of Magnus, you're really just going to have to figure it out on your own. This PowerPoint alone cannot help you. You will be stepping into the shoes of one of the most revered and decorated heroes in all of Dota 2. And if you figure it out well enough, you can create an entire career around it. Speaking of Arise, I actually mentioned him here in the wall of text, which is all about how amazing hero design can lead to amazing player accomplishments. Give it a read if you like. Now, no matter what kind of Magnus the opponent is playing, he's always going to have a very similar objective of blinking in and messing up your team. So, anything that you can do to prevent that from happening is probably a good idea. First, positioning is everything. You can absolutely stack the deck against Magnus, but if you're just sitting around your high ground for no reason, he can yoink you, you will die, you will lose the game. For example, if his team is sieging high ground and you have a couple heroes on your team dead, do not waddle up to the tier 3s in an attempt to cast Ether Shock on the enemy creep wave. You will die. Do not attempt to mana suck the enemy carry. You will die. If you're waiting for your teammates to respawn, you shouldn't even be in view of the enemy team. I would rather you run to the money tunnel and pathetically smack some hellbears than even approach the tier 3 tower. Just sit in the fountain, sit behind the ancient, don't let them see you, and for the love of God, do not let them get a word on your high ground. That Magnus is going to be frothing at the mouth just waiting to end your life. Now let's say you fail step 1 and the Magnus is already confident enough to start blinking in on you. Step 2, instant disables. New players don't always know this, but if you cast a Hex or a Yules or an Orchid or any other kind of instant disable from outside of its cast range and Magnus blinks in, you will automatically cast it tick perfect. This will prevent the Magnus from getting off any of his spells, because as powerful as they are, they do have cast ranges. Ice Frog is not that cruel. And once you get that disable off, Magnus actually isn't that difficult to kill. Magnus used to be a strength hero and he was considerably more tanky back then. But unless he's going the right-click build where he buys a bunch of armor, he's susceptible to both magic and physical damage. In the brief period of time where he's hexed by either Shaman or Lion, you can absolutely wail him down, and he's going to lose his confidence and no longer blind blink next to your tier 4s for the rest of the game. Just watch your positioning, don't take unnecessary risks, mind vision like crazy, and precast your spells in the Magnus. Also, I put a Glimmer Cape here. I can't remember why. I guess just go Glimmer Cape. On paper, Rubik is also a really good counter because Lift is an instant disable. However, if you are a Chinese team attending the Grand Finals of the International for the second year in a row, don't attempt it. For some reason, it just won't work. In conclusion, Magnus is very fun and you should absolutely play him. He's one of very few heroes in the game that you can play in pretty much every role, and whenever you do, you can go a different item build each time. He's a lot of fun to learn, and when mastered, is one of the absolute flashiest heroes in the entire game. Peace on planet Earth.